So, guys, I have, last time we talked about what was going on with the Medicare for All March and how, somebody got a hold of the graphics team, infiltrated it, and was able to post a picture of a white nationalist that of course sent all these people that were already trashing the whole thing into a frenzy, saying, oh, they're promoting white nationalists. They were already saying this a little bit before. So the organization pretty much acted really quickly, let out a statement, broke ties with that person disappeared from the internet. All this stuff happened. But I had been saying that this had to be a troll. This had to be somebody that really, I don't know how often a lot of these people talk to Republicans, but we have talked to Republicans. Republicans aren't interested in going to a Medicare for All march, first of all, and infiltrating it and all of that. Maybe if it was an Antifa BLM event, yes, right, you could say that. But this, it was very weird that all of a sudden they got this less than a month before the event, right? And this event started in January, actually, right after Force the Vote. We had all been talking about direct action and continuing this and talking about how, it's time to get in the streets and push these politicians, etc. And people did that, and they took it upon themselves because, not all of us have the time and everything to organize as much as we can. I mean, we try to do events. We do all constantly, and it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of energy, and it's a lot of time. So I was glad that somebody took it upon themselves and did this, and it grew from a march in LA and DC only to then Seattle, to then Denver, to then a nationwide thing. If you look at the context of what's happening with the Biden administration and you look at how they're labeling activists of all sorts as DVEs, domestic violent extremists, you can tell that the establishment is extremely scared of any sort of organizing, especially with how the government has mishandled this pandemic or plandemic, whatever you may think of it, right? And so when you have all that context and then you look at, wow, these people are organizing, these people are still pissed off, these people are doing this, that is a direct threat to this whole agenda that they're painting, that Joe Biden is doing so great, that he's the next FDR, that he's, everything is much better because Joe's in. Like, it completely contrasts that whole thing. So yesterday I posted this tweet where I said, I stopped everything I was doing to let you know that COINTELPRO is terrified of the working class pushing direct actions, especially when the U.S. has failed managing COVID, whatever your opinion is of it. So they are doing everything they can to stop it. It's not a coincidence that within hours that all of this happened, you had people from within the organization and people outside of the organization talk to Salon and Daily Beast. We know who sat on the board of the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast has done smear pieces of Jimmy Dore, has included us in their smear pieces.
The dirtbag left fam.
And constantly attacks people on the left, progressives, whatever you want to call them, right? And so it is no surprise that they issued these other two articles on this. Nazi catfishing operation plagues left-wing activist group. Nazi catfishing operation. It wasn't an operation by Nazis. That never happened. They never had any contact. This is directly from the organizers. They never had any contact with this person. The person who infiltrated the group, infiltrated the graphics team, then posted this Instagram picture, and then that person was ousted. They were off social media. That's that, right? No, I don't have any further information other than that. I'm going to keep talking to people, but that's all. That's as far as I know. That's it. They have reiterated that they never spoke to this man who was this white nationalist who was seen in Charlottesville, etc. Right? So this whole title is just completely false because it didn't plague anybody. Like, this whole thing was nothing. Like it was not a big deal. Because it was just a picture. He was never booked or propped up or any of that. It was a picture that was posted. So
again, they took the picture and they ran with it pretty much.
Exactly. And so, these smear pieces don't really help, right? And another thing I want to note is that this directly connects to Julian Assange and press freedoms, because the media is bought, right? The media is bought and is used for propaganda and smear pieces. And if you think about what the media is doing and what the establishment does, if you understand that they're going after Julian Assange for exposing the truth, then you understand that it's going to be very difficult for you to get healthcare for all with the state of the system we're in, right? I still say I'd rather people get their insulin, rather people have some sort of ability to say, hey, we're going to protest now. This is why they're not going to give you healthcare for all very easily, because they want you to have it tied to your employment. And so I think in order for people to fight for things like press freedoms and other things that they don't see as an immediate necessity, we've had this conversation multiple times, I think that there needs to be some sort of okay, we'll have healthcare, even though I don't trust the government to effectively run healthcare, even though I think that they would just reel in big pharma and do that, right?
Yeah,
like privatize everything. I still think they would do that, but at the very least, I understand the plight to say, hey, I need my insulin. My son needs his insulin.
That's the part.
The
70,000 people who die from deaths every year. That's not necessary.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And once again, I am a little nervous, especially after this whole pandemic, whatever we want to call it at this point, because I want it to be a choice. Like, in other words, I think Chairman Slayton said it best from the Libertarian Party in Maricopa when we talked about Medicare for all, because I said, I know we're not on the same page here, and he said, well, he's more concerned about what healthcare he can use. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He'd rather have the money so that he can buy any healthcare he wants. And I kind of agree with him to the sense there. When it comes to everyday medicine, I would be more about Eastern medicine, right? Like about herbs and natural remedies and whatnot and stuff like that. But if I'm dying and I'm in trouble, I want to use Western medicine. If I need to get an X-ray, some blood work done right away and stuff.
People shouldn't be in debt for
but
basic
people should not be in debt for the basic needs. People shouldn't have to. People shouldn't die because they need insulin. People shouldn't be, lose their houses and everything they have because they couldn't afford their insurance. So there are certain things like, no matter what, I want to repair that breach, and we can have this conversation about Medicare for all moving forward.
Yeah.
But like you said, I'm in agreement with you. I don't want people dying or going bankrupt because they couldn't afford their medical bills, and that's something that's wrong that we need to deal with. And by golly, the insulin thing, fam, to me is the number one thing. Get people their goddamn insulin.
Yeah, absolutely, which is now more expensive under Biden.
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of the same people. Yeah. What were you going to say?
I said bloop bloop. Just threw that in about the insulin.
It's true, though. Yeah. But a lot of the same people that were against force to vote, guys, are the same people that are against this, because it's not about getting health care to these people. It's about gatekeeping. It's about virtue signaling. It's about them saying, oh, no, you guys don't know what you're doing. We need to take control of this. But the thing is, they don't do direct actions. They want to sit and wait for a politician to do something. And that's never going to happen. It doesn't happen from the top down. It never, ever has in the history of the fucking world. That's not how things work. And so this person came out of nowhere, and started coming after me, coming after the organizers, right? So,
Emily G. or?
Yeah, her name is Emily Gorsensky, and she is actually a data analyst and an activist who was supposedly attacked by white nationalists and has been an advocate against the alt-right, and has been an advocate and working with police and other agencies in doxing people, as particularly people from the right. So she lays out this whole thing, right? I'm not going to read it, just as to how these people need to know this whole big deal as to what this organization that she has no affiliation with, she has never advocated for healthcare for all, is trying to tell them how to do their shit, right? How to do their shit. And it's really condescending, and I just I wanted to kind of put some of the tweets that she said. Here she talks about, again, pushing identity politics. I, as a trans person, have done more for the defense of America than Trump ever will. I worked on airworthiness certification of F-35s. This is more along the lines of who she is. And the reason I'm pointing her out is because this woman came out of nowhere and started attacking the organizers. And she is somebody that I suspect is somehow involved in this. I built training tools to help our troops stay healthy. I designed health monitors to improve outcomes for combat amputees. And then later on, she says, literally LOLing that the podcast left has finally tried logging off and doing something in the streets, and then immediately got co-opted by Nazis and didn't catch it. Okay. The podcast left is not, these people aren't even podcasters at all. They're they're organizers. It's the Washington Red Berets. It's a bunch of, it's Joy Marie Mann, who is actually now disabled and blind.
Yeah.
Almost blind, because she didn't have the money to pay for the medicine she needed to stop it. And that is frustrating to me. Like, if she had the money, she wouldn't be in this situation. And so no, these people aren't podcasters. They're organizers. And every single time they try to do something, direct action, it is scoffed at, it is belittled, it is attacked. And the reason I talk about this is because these people don't want you to organize. They want to stop it because it would destroy. What else would they be complaining about then if you had healthcare? Like, what else is going to be their next shtick? They don't have Trump anymore. They don't they don't have like these boogeyman that they can go after. So now if you're complaining about something, then it has to fall on the Democratic Party. And so they don't want that to be a thing. They don't want that to be something that people are dealing with, right? And so anything to say on that?
No. I'm just curious. I can't wait till we get to this next part over here. This is where it gets juicy. I don't want to use that word, but
yeah. So look, this is from this woman, right? I said, I find it interesting that the blue check cop magnate who bashed anarchists and anti-establishment types has spent the last few days doing everything she can to malign organizers for healthcare. I said, oh wait, I don't. Thanks for proving my point. This is what she said. I am Emily of the state. I am not a nobody on these topics. The FBI, the ADL, the SPLC have each repeatedly sought my counsel on matters of violent extremism. She's using the language of the CIA, of the establishment. Violent extremism. What is violent extremism? And then she goes on to say, because she came after me, right? So this is where this is coming from. I said this, and then she quote tweeted me. And she said, the funniest thing I have ever seen is how they have decided they are now victims of COINTELPRO in order to distract from how they can't account for who has access to their data and maybe gave access to that data to a Nazi troll. So they're claiming a Nazi did all this and tried to infiltrate. I am sorry. That is like so unlikely. It is so unlikely. Why? Like, they specifically picked a person that would instill this whole, like, oh my God, that's a white nationalist. Da, da, da. Like, come on, dude. Come on. And that a Nazi did this. And where are all the Nazi friends that are coming out? You have talked to Republicans. I have talked to Republicans. I haven't seen Republicans troll about healthcare for all, like in the way that they talk about Antifa or talk about China or anything like that.
Because they look at it as a quagmire situation. They have, people and friends who need healthcare as well and might have gone bankrupt in the situation. However, they're very concerned about a governmental takeover. So it's kind of like they stay quiet about it because they understand it's a it's a problem that needs to get fixed, even for people who are Republicans.
Over
who died.
Half of Republicans support Medicare for all. Yeah. Bernie Sanders got a lot of these people when he in 2016 on his first run to be like, yeah, okay, it's so this whole so this one Nazi is going to sort of be interested in a march for Medicare for all of a sudden and try to. Are you serious? This is
I hate the duping of the whole situation, too, because she's sitting here literally admitting that she's worked for the FBI and all these other companies, also worked for the Defense Department, I'm assuming, with jets and stuff. She was talking about fighter jets. Okay, the most racist thing we can do as a country is going around and bombing indigenous people in their homeland, and she's participating in those actions.
Right.
She's working for the FBI, and you want to sit there and call it out because somebody took a picture of a white nationalist and put it up there? I mean, you're helping the war machine. You're helping the FBI. If the FBI is seeking you out, then I don't want to fucking talk to you.
Right.
Plain and simple. Like, who the hell is she to say anything, this woman? But that's the whole dupe, by the way, fam. They're getting that left to go along with the State Department, to go along with the three-letter agencies. And it's very, very scary because this is a double take right here.
Right.
This is also to manufacture consent. Like, look, we work with the FBI as far as labeling, extremist terrorists and domestic terrorists and stuff like that. And these people let a Nazi in their door. It's like, hello.
Right. So the whole organization now should just be condemned because they the graphics team didn't note this right away and did something. I mean, you have to talk about how when an organization is decentralized, which is a good thing, as an activist or an organizer, you do know you're always going to have infiltrators. Always, always, always. It happens in every single movement. It fucking happens. It happened in the Bernie Sanders campaign. It happens in the Assange world all the time. It's happening here. It's going to happen. It's okay. It happens. You just know what to look for next time, and you build upon that. And so this is what she said too. This is another tweet of hers, right?
Pro tip.
Anarchists are still going to be around to fuck up your cop state, even if you realize your political goals. So she doesn't like anarchists, which you won't, because you suck at movement building and talking to people in a way that makes them want to be around you and listen to you. So here we go again. She's attacking the left with the civility politics. Oh, you don't know how to talk to people with your language and all of that. Like, it's the same neoliberal talking points that people have gotten for the last 6 years of, oh, how you're being rude and you need to bring people in and like say things a certain way. I'm sorry, people are fucking dying. If you have more problem with people's language than the situations at hand, I'm always going to say that. Like, there are ways you can talk to people that might be more inviting as a leftist. Like, if you're attacking the left, right, then there might be ways to not be, so critical of people who are on your side. But she's talking about the way the left talks to the establishment. That's what she's talking about. She's not talking about in general, right? And I just think like it's a little ridiculous to me. And when you bring up anarchist, right? Anarchist, the idea that anarchism is a bad thing, as it's a lot of people don't know what it is, so they just assume it's lawlessness and all of these things, but really it's ultimately the individualist agreement that people can like live in a community, mutual aid, but nobody is forced to do anything. And so
and it's also about taking away power from the top,
from a central power.
Yeah, from a central power up top that's controlling everything and whatnot and being very authoritarian. I mean, Keith McHenry in his book has explained it in such a beautiful way, where it's like, I totally, after reading like just the beginning of that book, I'm like, wow, I had to stop. I'm like, I have a different look on anarchism. Like, maybe the way he's making it sound so beautiful about like all living in beautiful peace and mutual aid and whatnot, that there's no separation of power from the top to the people.
It's very decentralized structure, right? And it's actually I think what can stop that whole fight, right, between authoritarianism and anarchism is always like, that's the fight I think we're in now, is that there are people on the left that want authoritarianism and there are people on the left that say no. So again, reiterating to the point that these are the same people that were against force of vote, right?
Yeah.
This is Kenzo Shibata. He's well known in the progressive DSA circles. He has a podcast of sorts.
Yeah.
Here they go again, and I'm gonna just tell you, put out what these people have said, because it's gross how they're framing this and how they're trying to take down a whole thing for one picture that was posted. So Kenzo Shibata said, I actually do think having a well-known Nazi speak for Medicare for All is bad, especially after the Dems convinced liberals it's Medicare for All for white people only. Okay. I don't know where to start with that.
God.
Yeah, nobody wanted to have this guy speak. Like, this is see, they do this shit. They do this shit, and it's so annoying.
It's that like white knighty kind of bullshit that they're speaking to as well. It's just so weird and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, why are they the standards of the gatekeepers of fucking what's right and what's wrong? You know what I'm saying? And I mean, Reverend Annie Chambers is set to speak at this event, right? Okay. What would she say about this whole situation? A woman who went and worked with Nazis to shut down a street. You know what I'm saying? And are you going to tell her what that you're the gatekeeper now after she's done this work, the woman who started the Poor People's Campaign?
And that's not even the point. But the way that they like act like this is a thing, that these people were pushing for this guy to be the speaker, like they agreed it. And even though the organization is denying it, they still keep saying, oh no, they knew, they wanted this because they affiliate with Boogaloo Boys and they affiliate with the Convo Couch and with MC. Like they'll name Jimmy Dore constantly. They'll name all these people. So this is what one of these people who has constantly been after a lot of us, right? And I didn't want to put this person's name up because I don't want them to get any sort of credit for anything, because they're an awful person that's constantly attacking other people and really doing absolutely nothing but working with the Democratic Party. They named us, and they said because basically Misty was talking about how there's all these people that are coming out and trashing organizers, and he said this literally describes Misty, Niko House, Convo Couch, Ryan Knight, Medhurst, Grey Zone, Socialist MMA. They said that Misty has platformed Holocaust deniers and Boogaloo Boys. Entirely false, by the way. Okay. Inviting Magnus to speak on our show is the only truthful thing that's on there. And Magnus is not a Nazi. Magnus is not a fascist. Magnus has affiliated himself with the Boogaloo Boys, but has constantly told us it's not a monolith, and that they have tried to kick all the people that are racist out. And he has talked to us on multiple occasions, has shown up at events, is organizing an anti-war protest. I don't really know what, like, if being an anti-imperialist, pro-BLM, pro-LGBTQ, part of the LGBTQ community, and simply being a guns activist makes you a Nazi, then your definition of Nazism is straight, right?
Yeah.
And they're saying she's helping right-wingers infiltrate the left, yet claims others are the enemy and engineered division. Well, she's not helping right-wingers infiltrate the left at all in any way, shape, or form. She's simply saying things that other people on the right might agree with.
Yep.
And if you want to have a working class revolution, there are going to be people that are more on the right than you and I are, that are going to be like, okay, well, let me listen to what you have to say. There are people that watch our show that say, I don't agree with a lot of the things you say, but at the very least, you stick to your truth, you stick to your principles, and you're consistent in your criticism. And I would rather have that than have people sitting in their corners and fighting each other and never fighting the actual people in power.
Well, even though I disagree with a lot of people on the right, I don't believe the battle is between right and left. I believe the battle is top versus down. You know what I'm saying? It's up versus 100%. Down. It's a different way. So there's a fashion of people like, right-wingers, like right-wing libertarians who kind of like are very much like the Boogaloo Boys, right, who are going to agree with things that we on the left, as far as like our libertarian-minded leftists who believe in, civil liberties and, not allowing censorship to fucking rule over our press, whatnot. We're going to agree on certain things and stuff. It's just that fashion of the left. Some. Yeah, we're going to disagree on a lot.
Yeah,
we're going to disagree on a lot. But I mean, the thing about it is this: you have this faction of the left that won't talk to this faction of the right. You know what I'm saying? And this faction of the right that will never listen to this faction of the left. And that's not how you build a revolution. It's top versus bottom. It's not left versus right. And that's what people have to... Yeah.
Right? Because we can't, and we say this all the time, we can't even fight about ideology when we don't have... When we're not going to have the power to fight at all.
Yeah.
Guys, we're not. I mean, the technocratic takeover, along with the takeover of corporations in our government, along with the whole entire state agencies manipulating things behind the scenes. If we have all that, where they're targeting everybody, whether you're on the left or right, as in a DVE, and you're like, what? While you're fighting each other. They're targeting both of you, and you're not targeting them. That's the whole point of this whole thing. I'm not trying to say that white supremacy isn't a problem. I'm not trying to say that there aren't racist people in this country. Of course there are. Of course there are. This country was built upon a settler colony. This is you can't deny that, and people shouldn't be afraid to talk about those things at all. But
they should talk more about cause and effect, though, that why people are racist and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
because their whole theory that it's language, that it's language that causes racism and stuff like that. Where I believe it's structure. You know what I'm saying? I don't use class as a way of excusing not talking about racism and stuff. I use class as a way of explaining how racism is infuriated, because all forms of bigotry are like hyperinflated at times of economic devastation. You start blaming the people who look differently than across the street. You know what I'm saying? And we are in some time of economic devastation. So a lot of people are going, well, it's that person across the street is the reason why I don't have health care and they have affirmative action and whatnot like that. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen it in Peru, even among Latinos. I've seen it, in all these countries. You saw it in Venezuela. You've seen it in Bolivia. This is why they don't want to target economic change. They'll target symbolic change. Yeah. They'll target social justice issues. But the economics, the government will never fix, because the economics is what keeps that left-right paradigm. It's what keeps that divide and conquer. It's what keeps the whole culture war thing going. So, Johnny, did you have anything to say? Because I feel like you have some things to say. No?
And that is the issue right there at hand. It once again, we feel it's about, the economics of keeping people starved and fighting over resources, and then therefore the elites went off with all the resources themselves and all the money. And that's why it's like, I have this mentality that we have to take care of that first, and then we can get in a room and decide what's best for all of us. So
and the next thing I want to put is that they kept going, saying that the March for Medicare for All organizers invited a Nazi to be the guest of honor at my healthcare rally, and the freaking CIA won't stop talking about it. So they're mocking what Nick posted, right? Bring up irrelevant issues as much as possible. What does that sound like right now? So he was saying that this has to be some sort of operation, insinuating that the CIA was involved. And this person was mocking that, saying like, oh, yeah, the CIA is coming just because you won't admit that there was a Nazi. Nobody invited a Nazi to be the guest of honor. Nobody fucking did that.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is what they continue to do to rile people's emotions up. And here it is again. We're not against a march. We are against all of you ignoring clear warnings of neo-Nazis being part of this and even giving one a keynote speech. This take is disingenuous. And because this person said it's disingenuous as fuck to say people that are skeptical after a raging neo-Nazi was given a keynote place in your event are against Medicare for All for any actions. So they're saying, you need to address the whole Nazi thing. The thing is, it's been addressed. It's been addressed, and they're still going after these people. This is why this has to be some sort of COINTELPRO operation, and because it's been happening for a long time, right? And so here is another thing I wanted to point out: the hypocrisy. This hypocrisy. Kimber Maddox said, compare how the Humanist Report talks about Jimmy Dore having a conversation with Magnus Penvidia about common goals versus how he talks about bringing Pogs, who said that Trayvon Martin got what he deserved because he was an N-word among many, many other awful things. Mike Figueredo was forced to actually get rid of this person, Andrea, that woman that called Niko a Nazi.
Loves
Niko.
us too.
Yeah. And so he was forced to do this because, again, it shows the hypocrisy, right? Just people, these people don't hold their own to account. They're not consistent in their criticism.
So to give context, he was hosting a live panel with all these guests, and then she's there, Pogs for Bernie or whatever. And
great guess.
Yeah, so then Kimber made this post showing all these receipts of basically she goes by Cyber Demon, and that's warning if you're looking at the screen. The N-word there is that was her. She went by Cyber Demon. She changed her name. And then here's Figueredo making an excuse for that.
Read that there real quick.
I'm not reading that.
Okay, I want to read it for a second, though, and stuff, because this is... as for the N-word, I see that someone has apologized and made serious attempts to reform. Could we just start and talk about that for a second? How come this person gets to get a pass and whatnot? Like, I'm for forgiving people and everything like that, but why do these people, this group of people, get to be the gatekeepers and decide who gets forgiveness and who doesn't?
Right.
That's the point I want to. I just want to make out.
They wanted to cancel Jimmy Dore for his comment on Anna. They wanted to. What is it? Niko House is always a Nazi now. It's just like they pick and choose. That's my whole thing. They're not consistent in their criticisms.
Yeah.
Sure, fine. She made amends. Okay, great. But why then is Magnus, like, in our association with him, still like a topic 6 months later? Like, it's still a thing.
Because it's tribal. Because Pogs for Bernie is now on their team. So, you know what I'm saying?
She's invited by Ben Dixon now.
She's invited by Nomiki Konst, by Ben Dixon, by Mike Figueredo. Mike Figueredo, look, I don't want to be on his show, right, at all. We have, like, substantially greater number of subscribers than this person. None of those people ever reach out to us. Why? Because they don't like us. Because we tell the truth, right? We're anti-establishment. We're not here to lick the whatever of the establishment Democrats. So they're not going to do that. But I'm just saying, like, they prop up certain people, and when these people are problematic, they make excuses for that. if it's on their team.
Yeah.
If it's not on their team,
Forget about it.
oh,
Yeah.
this
Right.
person needs
Canceled.
to be canceled.
I believe people can change, and I encourage it.
I do too, Mike.
I mean,
it
so do
applies
I,
to everybody.
Michael.
It applies to everybody.
Yeah, and this guy never reached out to me, and he tried to dox me. He just put up shit like trying to smear me
Yeah.
and stuff.
Well,
Never reached out
election.
to me for the election stuff. That I got on Parler, and I when I was on Parler, I put out there in my description that I'm a leftist libertarian. I'm here to talk to people who think differently than me. So maybe we can build some bridges, and rather than just kill each other, right?
Red,
that
brown,
kind of thing.
red,
But
brown,
him and Jordan, they all copied that and they put that out in an attempt to smear me. But
Yeah.
yet here they are. Oh, this person deserves forgiveness. And let me say this much, and I'm interested in hearing Johnny's point of view and your point of view on this and stuff like that. What Pogs for Bernie did, I mean, everybody evolves, everybody changes, but that level of shit, that level of saying that little blank got what he deserved, like, come on. That kind of level of shit is something that can be forgiven.
And
like,
there are
I've
other
never
posts.
been. Please.
I don't know if Fam has put it up, but there's other posts where she, flashed a white power sign.
Yeah.
And
Disgusting
that was,
shit.
In 2017.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're like,
That's-
they keep. So the thing with this person is that they kept trying to dismiss it, saying, "Oh, it was during teenage years and it was a long time ago." But it was literally the most recent picture was from 2017. And then the reasons for changing, and then all the Fred Hampton leftists are like, how is a white man going to tell us who we should
Right.
trust and stuff? And
Who
stuff like
we
that.
allow forgiveness to, right?
Right.
Who people of color too, like
Yeah.
in general, because it's like I am attacked constantly by these people with all this crap. Like they try to erase my identity, my ethnicity, all the time. That's some of the most racist things you can do.
Yeah.
And it's just, and Niko too, all the shit he gets. I mean, you don't have to agree with everything Niko says, but you don't have to be an asshole about it. And so it irritates the hell out of me when I see this double standard. And that's what we're pointing out here is the double standard. And I
Yeah.
hate that I even have to bring this stupid shit up.
Yeah, what's that bottom? What's that left? Jimmy Dore seems confused. That one right there.
Yeah.
About who
so
the
this
actual.
is about Magnus. Jimmy Dore seems confused about who the left's actual allies are. This is about Magnus.
Once again, he gets to decide who the left's
Right.
allies are and stuff like that. And let's not also forget that Mike Figueredo is for censorship. He thought
Yeah.
it was okay that Donald Trump's Twitter should have been pulled
All
down,
these
whatnot
people
like
are.
that. So
They
I
all
mean,
are.
they are all
They're not
supporting fascism.
principled. That's the thing.
Yes.
They're not consistent.
They're not
They're not
consistent.
principled and consistent.
They're tribal.
It's team sports,
It's
Exactly.
team sports.
It's all
Team
team
sports.
and it's not about consistency at all. Like if that's why they were against you for the election thing, because it's a right wing conspiracy
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah.
And
They
then-
always say that. Oh, you agree with right wingers, Fiorella? No, I go by the truth first. That's it. It doesn't matter if somehow the truth contradicts my ideology because I'm firm enough in what my beliefs to know that I'm not going to become a right winger tomorrow because my beliefs come from my whole moral worldview. I'm not going to say, oh, all of a sudden I don't want Medicare for all because I spoke to a Republican yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm more likely to convince that Republican of things. And I have multiple times. I have convinced Republicans about certain things, or we have talked to them about how elections are and how not to how to express, election fraud versus voter fraud, how to not focus on Venezuela or the Gustavo Chavez or China, how to fix your elections first and
How
not
about
bring in
just
Donald
basic
Trump.
language? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. But the once again, fam too as well. And we've had many talks. We don't agree with a lot of things, but we sit there and we talk like adults. We don't cancel anybody out, despite their beliefs. And I've had somebody on the show where his thoughts are just way out there, and I'm like, whoa. And I had a conversation with him, about the whole situation, and that's what we need to do. But I don't understand why these guys they have crown themselves as the gatekeepers, the virtuosity cloaks. That
It's
they're
the
walking around with.
virtuosity cloak.
Please
Absolutely.
take it off and
It's-
look in the mirror.
Yeah, it's whenever they claim whatever it is, whatever the issue is, if it's a right wing thing, then they just if they're the mainstream media. That's why it was crazy when Joy-Ann Reid was saying
Yep.
defund the Pentagon or defund the military is a right wing thing.
Yeah.
Can you believe that shit?
So
Yeah.
that's they're trying to do that, so then they turn leftists against each other.
Yep.
That's what they're doing.
They're doing a good job
and
at it.
they are, because again there is that divide, the authoritarianism versus the non-authoritarianism, and that's the biggest divide to me, because that is also a top-down divide. So just to close out this segment real quick, Magnus said no one is talking about how the leader of the Proud Boys was a Fed, and that is a fact, and how that might shine a light on January 6th. LOL. He also said, and I guess the Oath Keepers leader is a Fed too. And below is this tweet. is the FBI running the Oath Keepers? Did they incite January 6th? If it turns out that the Stuart Rhodes, and I'm not too familiar heavily with the Oath Keepers, has had a relationship with the federal government, the implications would be nothing short of staggering. He is the Oath Keepers. So there's this whole thing you can read on the Federal Protection of Oath Keepers, Kingpin Stuart Rhodes. And I kind of want to do an insight and a deeper look on all of this, because I think it's important to note this is nothing new, guys.
Yeah.
You can see it in movies. You can see it in documentaries.
Yeah.
The FBI and the CIA have constantly infiltrated activist groups, whether on the right or on the left, but especially on the left. So it's not outlandish to think that there are groups of people trying to break up and divide the left, because they are. And there have been proven troll farms. Sally Albright had the proven troll farms during the Democratic election. This is nothing new. And so when you know that the FBI infiltrated the Proud Boys, you're going to tell me that only the Proud Boys? And that goes for anybody. That goes for Antifa.
Yeah.
That goes for all of these groups. This is nothing new, and this is how they do this. This is how they keep people divided.
Yeah.
And so you have to pay attention to that. And I think Magnus asked the right question. Why is nobody asking about this? Nobody's talking about this.
Yeah.
This is like a big deal here.
Yeah. My biggest fear about the whole Antifa situation was the fact that anybody can act like Antifa and then
Right.
kind of skew the narrative. And like a lot of people were saying, like, a lot of Trump people were saying, it was Antifa on January 6th. And I was like, I don't know if you guys remember that commercial. There's a guy kind of, he's looking for knowledge, and he's going up the mountain, and he sees like a guru, and he's sitting there, he's like, you must go higher, my son. And he's got to keep going higher. It's like, Antifa, you must go higher, my son.
Yeah.
This is going all the way to the top, ladies and
And
gentlemen.
the left was saying this was all Donald Trump's people, and it was all the Proud Boys, and that's it.
Turning people
Guys,
against each other.
Come on. We told you from the beginning. This
Turning
was a
people
psyop.
against each other.
From the
Whitney Webb
Yeah.
talked about the situation when, I'm saying, like, they wanted another 9/11 type of event to really catapult the policy positions and to make laws that would really, change our civil liberties even further, infringe upon them. So they got away with it.